Welcome to this episode of This Old Dollhouse. Today, I'm going to be making furniture to go along with this little chair I made for Tastemade Home. Wow. So this is the Joybird Apartment chair. So I'm gonna make some furniture to go along with it. Otherwise, it's just a plain chair. In this video, I'm specifically going to be talking about jigs and how to use jigs to make perfect furniture. So, let's get started. No, it's okay, don't run away. Ooh, a big potato. Say hi, potato. So a jig is used to hold parts so that you can assemble them precisely and efficiently. So you're not trying to like hold two parts at like level and then try to screw them together. This way you can just have them all in one unit. So this is a jig I made for the Eames chairs, which they're not finished. But here you can see there's the top part and bottom part, and then you have the parts in the middle. So I would use this jig to assemble the metal struts that go in between all of the legs. And this is essentially an industrial design jig that you would use at full scale. That would make things easier. And I spent a lot of time building this, and you can actually create jigs out of foam core, which makes them quicker, cheap, and I mean foam core, you can get foam core for like $2. So we're gonna be building jigs and understanding how jigs can help you make better furniture. So just like all the builds, we're gonna kind of assess what we want to build. So I have a chair. I've made the side table already. So I've got a side table. I also have an ottoman. But for today's video, I really want to make a coffee table. So let's kind of just get rid of this guy. Okay, so my coffee table is 3x4. I mean, 2x4. And then next, so this will be top view. So I'm just gonna put top, okay? And then we'll need a side. Here's the top part. Now how high? 18. So here will be our base. And I want my table to have mid-century modern legs. Just gonna go 2 in, and then, so it's similar to this one. I think these are the same. Yeah. Right here, I'm gonna have a second part that comes across. And then, I need to cut the legs. So the good thing about drawing in the actual scale is I don't have to do any weird math. Like I don't have to make a triangle out of this and then figure out like this angle and this angle. To figure out the length of this, I can just measure it and then figure it. And then like go from there. I'm using an architect scale. That's how I'm getting that information for how it would be in actual scale. There we go. So then I can just measure how long this bottom part's gonna be. And there you go. It's that easy. All right, let's start building. Okay, so before we start making our jigs, which are gonna end up looking like this, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to map out the top part because that's how we're gonna determine how big to make the jigs, is by doing this first, and then we're actually gonna surround the part in the jig. Take the T-square, we're gonna measure 4. Make sure you got a nice sharp X-Acto. Okay, so once you've got the top of the coffee table sanded down, you're really just gonna cut out thin strips of this foam core, and you're gonna basically have it go around the strip. So you wanna make sure one is at least 4.5 inches, the other one is at least 2.5 inches. And another thing you wanna keep in mind is the height. So we know the height is gonna at least be 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna build my guardrails to be 2. so now that I've got these all made, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just line them up along this edge. So all I'm doing is making a box around the part. So let's glue it. Now I'm using Elmer's glue wall. This right here. Now if you want to make some of this go faster, you can use straight pins that you would use for a sewing project. You just gotta make sure that they're going in straight because they can kind of warp how something sits. So this last part, I need to make it fit exactly that width. All right, so here you can see the bottom, or what would be the top of the coffee table is at the bottom of the box. So once you have that, you can poke that guy through. Okay, so the next step is to make a socket on the underside of the top. So the material I'm going to use for the legs, so this is just an 1/8 inch dowel, and I'm going to take a 1/8 Dremel bit and I'm going to put it in my hand drill. So basically what I want to do now is just make a socket for this to sit in. Try not to go all the way through. You just want to make a place for it to sit. Okay, now that I've got my sockets, the top part is ready to go. So I'm just going to put my jig back over so I have the pockets facing up. Okay, so now I've got this ready. Now I need to trim the leg pieces. Pretty red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these mid-century style. So I'm basically going to just taper both ends down. What you're going to do is you're going to take 120 grit and you're going to start about 1/3 of the way down. You're going to wrap sandpaper around it and you're just going to twist. Then you're going to go down just a little bit more, so lower than where you just sanded. Then you go down to the end, you're going to sand that down. So what we're doing is we're just progressively sanding each bit of the dowel so that, you know, you sand this top part the least amount, but the bottom part gets sanded the most. I just want to smooth everything back out, so I'm taking the 1500 and just doing the same thing. What you're going to do next is you're going to glue in place each one of these into a socket. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue into the socket. Okay, so here I filled the socket with glue. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to set it in the socket. Glue is gonna, you know, fill out over the sides. And I'm just gonna set it in there. Just like that. So, now you let that dry. Okay. Are you lonely? Are you lonely, dear? Are you lonely? So, this sketch, remember we figured out the width of the bottom part, of that bottom shelf. Now we figured it would be 3 feet 8 inches. So, let's cut this to size. Okay, so I need to figure out the width of this, right? So I know it starts out at 2 feet. And then it's gonna start in here and it's gonna travel. All right, so I'm just gonna draw a straight line. Same thing like we did on the other side. Yep. And then it's gonna be in this middle part. So through here. So if I measure it, it's gonna be 1 foot 8 inches. Okay, so now I know there's gonna be an 1/8 inch notch on either side of here, and that is going to be where the dowel will run past. Okay, so the next step after you've cut the notches out, taking my circular file and I'm just filing into the notch. and you'll see that your square notch will slowly turn into a circular point. Okay, so when we're placing this bottom part of the coffee table and we're lowering down into here, I need to be able to move it around how I want. So the way I do that is I use tape. It does not have to look pretty. I mean, this does not look pretty. But now I can hold it from the top, lower it in, and make sure it's level while I'm doing that. So I'm gonna let this cure just a little bit longer, and then I'll come back for this. Okay, moment of truth. I'm then gonna go back. On the backs of this, I'm just gonna fill in any gaps that I see. Okay, so now, moment of truth. You just turn it over and press it out of the jig. But yeah, there you go. So the next step is to just stain it however you want. Okay, thanks so much for watching this episode of This Old Dollhouse. I hope you enjoyed this little coffee table build along with making jigs. So here you can see this jig really made it super easy to make something at the perfect angle and at the perfect height, even for the second shelf. So yeah, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. What's wrong, potato? What's wrong? You don't feel good? What's wrong, potatoes?